Hey everyone, welcome back to the bench and to the first YouTube tutorial of the year. I really hope you all had a good Christmas and a good New Year. It's been great to get back into the studio and start filming again and start working. I'm full of ideas to come for this year. Right, so what's today about? Again, like I said, I'll keep it pendants. We're going to make it a bit more beginnery today, but the main focus today is odd shape cabochons. We've got some of them in our box. We might not be using them. Now, I don't buy many odd shaped stones. I'm going to be really honest with you. When I was digging through my box to find what to use, I really didn't. I found about 5 that I thought were as odd shaped as could be, but I did find one exactly the shape I was looking for and wanted to use, because it's just one of those things. It's not, I'll show you in a minute. We've got examples down. But before I move on, I just want to announce to everybody that I have a new thing at the bottom. It's called Buy Me a Cup of Tea. So if you're really enjoying these free tutorials and you want to show me some support, maybe pop over there, and it's just a donation button. You can donate whatever you want, whether it be 50p to a pound, up to you. It really is. But if you're really enjoying this and want to become a part of the Lonely Soldier family, maybe come on over to Patreon and join up to the top tier. And in the top tier, you get access to all my PDFs, my books, and Patreon-only tutorials, which I'm about to drop very, very soon, my Tree of Life Masterclass. So keep an eye on the page. Right, what are we up to today then? Got some examples down here. Let's have a look, shall we? So here you go. Here's an example of the cabochons I'm talking about. So you're going to have some odd-shaped cabochons in your box. You're going to have this. It's not quite teardrop. Or you're going to have something that is symmetrical, but it's just generally an odd shape that you kind of maybe not work with, but you bought the stone because it was really nice. But normally you're like me. You prefer symmetry, and you'll stick to your ovals and your teardrop shapes and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that, but you're going to come across something like this. So I thought in this tutorial, over 3 parts as usual, I would show you how I would approach this. So how I would grip the stone. So we've just got 2 different stones here. So I'm going to do slightly 2 different things, but I'm going to show you something I've already shown you, which is I will be gripping the stone with the twisted wire grip. And this one will be a bit more traditional, probably use 4 wires around the outside of it as well. So I thought I'd cover both of those, but how I would approach doing this and how I would make sure my wraps are in exact position that I want them to be. Because really that's what I wanted to show you as well, is the precision placing of these wraps around a odd shaped stone. And like I said, how I would go about doing it as well. But also, I've got some great finishes for you. So let me just show you these finishes. Here we go. One of my favorite finishes. Very simple. Spirals. Again, but neat, tidy, and sharp. That. I really do like that. And obviously there's the back there as well. Here's the other finish as well. So I've got kind of 2 of them here. And luckily, I got an odd-shaped stone. There we go. So this kind of finish as well, where we'll be twisting and bending wire around, and even maybe making a bit more of the bail as well. There's quite a thicker bail in that as well. But yeah, these kind of finishes where the wire kind of locks itself together by twisting it all together. So there we go. And there's this one as well. Very similar to the first one. But yeah, we're sticking to the spirals. We're sticking to very simple finishes. But what I really wanted to show you out of this lot, so especially these finishes as well, it's all about this piece of wire that we strap down through the middle of the bow. It's this piece here, and it's a great way of anchoring stuff down so things don't get caught by jumpers and pulled away. Because that's the problem when doing stuff like this. So you easily can have wire just being a bit free-flowing and easily get caught and bent out of shape. Right then, shall we have a look at what tools and equipment we're going to need for today? Tools needed for today's video. Chain nose, flat nose, #1 tools at your side at all times. You will need your flush cutters. Not essential, but a pair of nylon jaw pliers will come in handy when straightening wire. Metal ruler. Blue masking tape. The best stuff. Pair of scissors. Not essential, but a pair of tweezers will come in handy. Again, another one of those tools, like my chain nose, flat nose, are at my side at all times, no matter what I'm doing. Marker pen. Now, a fine marker or pencil, doesn't matter. Hammering block. Chasing hammer. rubber hammer may become in handy. And wire gauges that I will be using today, I will be using 20 gauge, which is 0.8 mil, and for wrapping, I will be using 28 gauge, which is 0.3 mil. Now, I understand not everybody likes to work in the finer wires, so there's nothing wrong with using 26 gauge. Right then, let's have a quick look at this stone before we wrap it. Right, before you get started, you got to consider how much wire am I going to need to go around the outside of a stone? So it all comes down to its depth. If it's reasonably deep, I think I'm going to use 4 pieces of wire to go around the outside of this stone. And also, which way round is the stone going to go? Are we going to go that way? I quite like it. Or are we going to go that way? I'm not going to go side on. It just doesn't feel right to me. This is nearly a teardrop shape, so it kind of makes sense that you go one way or the other, and the central line is down through the middle. So I think I'm going to go with this way, because this is the more trickier way of gripping it. Now, why is it tricky? Because we're going to want to get our bail dead center up there. That's a tricky thing to do, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So yeah, we're going to go with 4 wires around the outside of this one. And the other stone, similar again. Now, I could go with 4 or 5. It's quite a deep side, thick side, but I thought I'd go over again. Twisted grip I showed you in the last pendant. There we go. You have the twisted wire around the outside. It's a great way of filling some space up. And this stone seems to be screaming, "Put twisted wire around me." So, okay, I will. Now, I've decided I'm not going to put it this way round or this way round. I'm not too much of a fan of that kind of shape. I'm going to go with this way round, but I'm going to go with slightly off center. So the central line runs more down towards, meets the middle, down there like that. I just think it looks kind of cool when it's just slightly on the wonk. That's how I'm going to go with it as well. And also when I come gripping this, I've got a slightly, well, not different way of gripping it, but what you would expect me to do would be to put my wraps at these points here and then pull the wire over. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to actually put the wraps, 2 wraps, either side of the corners. And then we're going to pull the wire over. And it's going to look kind of cool. You're going to like that. Anyhow, let's crack on. Let's get our tools out. And let's do the first stone and grip this one. Right, first thing first, grab your masking tape. And trim off, well, enough to go around the outside of your stone and a little bit more. Now, how much that is, it's about, if you've got a rough cabochon the same size as mine, it's going to be about 10 to 15 centimeters. So that's all I'm going to trim off. I'm going to grab my stone and then going to take my masking tape and I'm going to stick it to the outside of my stone. Like so. Now what I want to happen, and it's like to make sure that happens, is that where my bail is going to be is where the masking tape overlaps. Let me just wrap that around, show you. Now don't get me wrong, it can be a little bit tricky depending on how deep your stone is. If you've got something with very thin sides, this can be a little bit tricky. If you've got something with very deep sides, this is going to be really easy to do. There we go. I'm just going to trim off that little bit of excess. I'm going to stick that to my bench. I'm going to come back and use that. Now here we go. So there we go, I've wrapped round. And I've made sure I've doubled up at the top where my belt's going to be. But before we move on, we have an opportunity now to draw on our masking tape where we want our wraps and where we want a bell to go. So on this, I'm going to want one about, let me have a look, about there. So I'm just going to put a mark there. Now, obviously, I want one at the base here, right at the bottom. I can place a mark there. Now, this is where it comes in handy as well. So where do I want my bell to be? Now, I want my bell to be, like I said, that straight line down through the middle of the stone. So it's going to be there. There it is there. Okay. So I'm going to make a mark there. And that's where I'm going to cut down through my masking tape. Like so. Get my scissors. Now, that last little bit, you can use sometimes your scissors, but I will often just use my flush cutters. There we go. Trim it. Now take it and stick it to your bench. Like so. Cool. There we go. Place that down. So actually, it's nearly central. That base is nearly central as well. So there we go. You can see that's where one wrap's going to go. That's going to be the corner. That's the ends. That's going to bring us here as well. So grab your ruler, measure your masking tape, and just mark the center. So this is 77 mil or 78 mil. I'm going to go with, it's actually 77.5 mil. So the middle of that will be just shy 35. 35, well, just shy of 4 centimeters. The reason you need to mark the center is that we're going to measure from it. So that point there, very close to the center. Right then, let's cut some wire. Now, I'm going to be using some 20 gauge here. I'm going to cut 4 pieces to go around the outside of this stone. Now, this is where your nylon jaw pliers will come in handy. Run it down. Straighten your wire. Now we want just 30 centimeters. It's probably a bit more than we actually need, but you can take away, but you can't add. So yeah, I'm going to cut 4 of these. Here's a tip, measure 1. Measure off the one you've just cut. Once you've got your 4 pieces of wire, we're going to want to masking tape them together. Nice and flat. So this is where that spare bit of masking tape that you had lying around. Now you want to cut yourself off little strips of about 3 to 4 mil. There you go. Stick them to your desk. Come back to them. Cut yourself about 4. Grab your wires, making sure they're flush together at one end. And just run your fingers down. Get them all together. Cool. And at one end, coming down by about 5 centimeters or so. There we go. Get a piece of your masking tape. Stick it on. And wrap it around nice and tightly. Like so. And run your fingers down, keeping all the wires together. And close to the middle, not on the middle, because we're going to put some wraps there soon. Just place another piece. And then again, run your fingers down, place another one in. Now this is going to help hold everything together. There you go. Keeps it nice and flat. And then spend that minute now, or 30 seconds, just sit there, teasing your wire, getting it to sit nice and neat together, and just help straighten it. Make your life really easy. Cool. Once you've done that, grab your ruler. And we're going to want to mark the center of our wires. 15. Now we're going to do all our measurements from there. So that's mark there, our center mark is what we're going to
line up to our centre mark on our little blueprint of masking tape. Now, grab your wrapping wire. Let's start wrapping. Actually, just remembered, before we start wrapping, we need to mark on our wires where we're placing our wraps. So we want to wrap at the end of the masking tape. That's going to be up by the neck where the bail is. We're going to wrap there. Let's get the stone, which is going to be about here on the stone. Then obviously we're going to wrap, which is pretty well much central. I'm not going to put the marking because it's on the centre mark. But looking at this, I'm going to wrap to the right of the centre mark. Right. Grab your wrapping wire. There we go. Start wrapping on your marks. Now, how many wraps you put in is up to you. I like to go for 5. So I'm going to put 2 wraps in. Come around the third time. As you can see, what's going on here. You can see this is all bunching up. So you're going to need to stop. Grab your flat nose pliers and crimp it. There we go. Like so. There we go. It's flattened everything out. And what it's done is it's pushed the wires to the outside and make that wrap a lot tighter. Now I'm just going to add one more. 5 wraps. Cool. Now turn it over. Again, I'm going to crimp it. Now I'm going to trim. Now when I trim as well, I'm going to bring my flat nose pliers in. I'm just going to come in at an angle from that side. I'm going to trim in. Now what I'm doing here is I'm leaving a lot more wire. That just finishes at this far end. Less chance of getting caught. To the other side. Here's a tip. Get your flat nose in. Tighten it up a little bit. Pull it. Then trim it. Also, once you've done that, take your marker pen and mark the back of the wrap. This is going to remind you, which is the inside of everything. So you know that's going to sit on the inside like that. So we're going to have no ends of wire on the outside at all. So I'm going to go in and add the rest of my wraps in. Time for a little bit of hyperspeed. Remember to keep going back to your blueprint and lining everything up and make sure everything is in the same place. Well, exactly where you want it to be. I'm pretty pleased with that. Everything's pretty well much where I want it to be. Just going to adjust that one. That's the central there. There we go. Well, that one's moved the outside quite a bit, and that one's a little bit in. So I'm just quickly adjust that. There we go. That's a little bit slidey. Let's crimp it a little bit better. Still, it's gone and popped itself quite a bit outside. No, all right, I'm pretty happy with that. So something I do recommend is when doing something like this is that you always have a couple of wraps to the outside of your masking tape measurement. Now, the masking tape is a good idea, the circumference of the stone, but you're about to put wire around the outside of it, so you're adding distance. So the wire will travel that little bit further than the masking tape, but not by much. It's normally only by a mil or two at the very, very, very most. So my recommendations, just have 1 or 2 wraps sticking to the outside of your masking tape on both sides. Right, if you've got any masking tape, these little bits in the middle, take them off. Keep the ones at the end on and come in handy. But if you've got anything in the middle now, time to take that off. And this is the beauty of the blue masking tape, is that it doesn't leave a residue. And it's very easy just to unwind and take off. Before we actually grip the stone, to help make life easy, what I like to do here is skip my flat nose pliers right up against our last wrap, which is up by our neck. And we're just going to turn the wire up. There we go. To the outside. So that's the inside of the wrap. Turning the wire to the outside. I can do the same again the other side. This makes our life really easy when it comes to gripping the stone. It really does. There we go. Obviously. I'm not supposed to sit, so there we go. Turned to the outside. I'm just going to remove the masking tape, get that out of the way, and go grab the stone. We need a bead mat for this one, and also I think the black background does help with the focus on the light. So I'm going to get a bead mat, something soft to place my stone on, and get my wire ready, making sure everything is the right way around. Now, because I've got a bit of a point here, it's worth me putting that angle in first there before the stone. I'm just going to grab my flat nose pliers and just one side of the wrap. Oh, my wrap moved there. Let's get that back into position. I'm not going to actually grip the wrap or anything like that, because sometimes you can damage the wire and knock out. I'm just going to bend just to one side of it, like so. At the same time, there we go. There we go. Oh, sorry, I did that off camera. Sorry about that. I was focusing on what I was doing and I didn't realise. I do apologise. But anyway, I've placed that bend in. Going to grab a stone, place it down, place my wire down. As you can see, that's where it comes in handy, placing that angle in first. Right, I'm just going to go put it on its side here. And I'm going to bring one side around and then the other side around to meet it. Get my flat nose pliers in here. Just help tease it round, take the shape of the top of the stone, and then kind of pinch it together as well. See if I can pick my stone. Yeah, that's gone well. That's gone really, really well. Very pleased with that. Now, pop your stone out. And then what you're going to want here is just find a random piece of wire, spare bit of wire that you got lying around. I'm just going to come off the roll, because that's what I've got here. And we're just going to bind the neck together. But a dummy wrap. Nothing special. Just hold it all together while we work on it. That's it. We're going to get rid of it the right way. Trim off. Put it to one side. Once you've got your dummy wrap around the neck, you can sit here now. And just before we grip the stone, make sure all your wraps are where they should be. If you got any more than what I've put here. Like this one's very slidey. So that opportunity to get it into the spot I need it. So once you've got it into the spot you need, dropping the tools here, get your flat nose, give it a quick gentle crimp, help it stop moving. Right, I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm just going to pop my stone back in. Check everything's where I want it to be. And I'm happy. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. Pretty happy with that. Right, let's grip. So I start from the back. I'm going to take my stone out. I'm going to start from the back. And look at that wrap moved. And the last minute, I'm going to have to be very careful of that one. I'm going to get my chain nose just to crimp it again and help keep it where it is. Like I said, I'm going to start from the back, pulling the wire in. And I'm going to come from the side here. So I'm just going to grab that last back wire and I'm going to turn to the inside of the pendant like so. There we go. See that? Now I'm going to do the same on this side, but where do I do it? Do I do it from the top? Let me do it from the bottom. Let's do it from the top. This is the back, so we kind of want it to be nice and tight. So again, I'm just going to place my right next to the wrap, grabbing that last wire, and I'm just going to turn in to the pendant. Okay, that's not bad. That's looking pretty good. Pretty pleased with that. Right, just going to slide my dummy wrap out the way. I'm going to pop my stone in. And then just slide the dummy wrap back down again to hold everything into place. Let's take that. Let's have a look at the back. Oh, we've had a little bit of movement go on down the bottom here. So what I'm actually going to do, see that we've got a bit of an issue here. I'm going to bring that side in. It's going to help keep that, pop my stone out a minute. It's going to help keep this wrap from moving. This wrap is moving. It's not going to want to stay where it is. So I'm going to place my, put it in at the side there. There we go. Now I can shape these wires. It's not looking too bad. It's the back. It's not meant to look the greatest, but it's there to hold the stone in. That's what it's meant to be there for. And it's going to stop the wrap from moving. Like so. I'm just going to tighten my neck up. Right, I'm pretty pleased, pretty happy with that. I'm going to do the same again with the front now. Now, where do I want to pull my wires across to hold it into place is the question. I might go with the same thing. I can go down the sides here, or I can come up from the base. That might be quite interesting. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do similar to the back. No. Yeah, I'm going to come from the bottom here. Let's see what this looks like. Designing on the fly while in the middle of a video. Yay. What could go wrong? So again, place my flat nose in and just gently bringing it up and over the stone. Now I try not to pull too far over the stone here. Just enough to come over the shoulder. That's looking quite nice. I like that. That's quite tight and tidy. Now again, with this side. Now this is the tricky side, because now looking at this, I might have considered putting a wrap up here. Just the one right on that edge there, right there. But we haven't, so we're going to make it work. Again, you like me keeping my mistakes in. So yeah, right, we're going to, where am I going to pull from? I think I might come from the bottom, so it mirrors that. Right, I'm going to come from the top so we can get a nice grip on this shoulder here. So we're going to come in from that top end, just like they did at the back. Grab that last wire. And just gently bring it in. I'm going to go slowly. Don't want to push too much pressure. There we go. Now we do have an issue down here at the bottom of this possibly coming out. I'm just going to bring this across a little bit further. And I'm just going to play now till I'm happy with it. Gently easing the wire over. Well, that's not too bad. A little bit loose. Oh, shake it, see if it comes out. I'm pretty happy with that. Could I bring that over a bit further? I could, yeah. I'm going to bring it out just a little bit further. There we go. Bring that side round. Gently, so it comes over the shoulder of the stone, holds it into place. Pretty happy with that. There we go. Sorry, I didn't focus now. Pretty pleased with that. Again, at the back, I'm going to sit here and now just tweak it. And with the back, I always like to bring the stones right across. Really hold it into place. Now you can see it's slightly misshapen at the top here. So if you start seeing that happen, because what's happening is when you're doing this, you're pulling wire down from the top down. Just get your pliers in there on your neck. Just pinch it together. Give it a bit of a crimp and a tidy. Oh yeah, that seems pretty good. Stones in. I'm happy with it. And to criticise my work as I'm going along, because I often do, and this is how we learn. Actually, I still think we might have been better off replacing a wrap just there. Might have made it a little bit easier to bring that wire across. It's fine. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to come out. But it would have helped the back being a little bit easier. You won't get this big bit here. It would have helped the back loads. The back's a bit ugly. I'm not pleased with that. But hey, no one's going to see it. It's going to be against someone's chest. But I'm pleased with the front. I like it. It's got a nice flow to it. Right then. Let's bind the neck. Now, just getting your 28 gauge. You're not going to need much. Trim yourself off about 10 to 15 centimeters. Yeah, way more than that. It's double what I've just said. So, grab your pendant and then just slide the dummy wrap out the way. Leave it on for the moment. It's going to help you. Leave yourself a little bit of a towel. Wrap down towards the stone 3 times. Now, why 3? It's because I just want a short neck. You could wrap down as many times as you want. In fact, I'm going to go around 4 times, all the way down till I reach the stone. I'm going to place that towel down there, hold it in tight. And again, I'm going to hold that one down nice and tight there. Take my dummy wrap off. I'm going to put my finger down the wires and I'm just going to slightly part them. This is why we keep our masking tape on to the last minute. It makes our life really easy when parting the wires. So I can put them down there, like so. Grabbing my flat nose, making sure my wraps are nice and tightly down. Again, just put that in. Take my flat nose, getting as tight as possible, and I'm going to bend so we get a nice right angle to the pendant. And we create a T-bar on both sides. So now then, this is my engineering. This is what I like to do. Many people do a different thing at this point, but this is what I've taught myself. So there we go. Back to our neck wire. Now, I'm going to start from the top bit, and I'm probably going to wrap around maybe one more time. Let's see. I actually unwrapped. There we go. So we can get around one more time. Cool. I'm going to come round, so yeah, one more time round, so I finish around the front. Now, this is a tricky bit here. There's a few ways of finishing this wire off. Now, hopefully you've got a bit of a gap down here. And we can poke the wire through. It's going to come out the front. Come on. No gaps. Come on. I've done it too tight. And it's not going through, which is a bummer because I really wanted to show you this. And I'm now going to have to show you what to do if it doesn't do that. Let's just try again and see if we can't get it through. No, it's not going to go. Okay, so what do I do in this situation? So in this situation where I can't poke it through the hole to wrap it out, I've shown you in the other 2 videos. So if you go watch, let me put a link in the corner, my first video of wrapping. I will show you how to do it properly there. So what would I do in this situation when I can't poke it through, but I want to carry on? I'm just going to bring it down into the neck there. That's all. And I'm going to trim it off, like so. I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to poke it down into the hole. Now, yeah, you're going to say, oh, but that can come off quite easily, Jim. Yeah, you're right. So we're going to go to the base one that we've wrapped around. Like so. And where are we? There we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to post it through bottom so it comes out the other side. Pull that tight. Making sure it's nice and neat as well. Look at that. There we go. And I'm going to bring it back over the top. Now what that'll do is I'll hold that spare bit down. That's in the middle. And I'm going to bring it back round and through the front again. Maybe go around again. To be extra safe, go around the same again. And leaving a nice little kind of double wrap on the front of the neck there, you can see. And post it back through the hole. Now that's one of the ways I get rid of the wire. like I say, I have a few different ways. Once I've got it through, flat nose, well, flush cutters in there, give it a trim, get your tweezers, tuck those ends away. There we go. How I would approach gripping an odd shaped stone. Right, let's do the same again, but let's grip this one. So I've done exactly the same, gone around the outside of this stone with the masking tape, no different than what I did in the last one. But this time, because I don't want my wraps exactly on the corners, I want them either side, but I'm going to mark where these corners are. I'll do my measurements afterwards. I just want to know where they are. And then at the top, that's where the bow is going to go. Because like I said, I'm going to bring the bail in at the top here. Same again, cutting a direct line down at the top where my bail is going to be. Unwrapping and sticking it to your desk. Mark the centre of it again, so I have the centre mark to work from. I'm going to get my stone and just have a quick look. So I'm guessing, yeah, that's that point there. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to have wraps either side these points. Yeah. So I'm going to measure. Let's have a think about this. I'm just going to measure down the stone where I roughly want them to come. 5 mil. I'm going to measure 5 mil either side of those marks I've made, and that's where my wraps are going to be. Just put little arrows in there. Just tells me that's the marks I'm after. And that's my center mark. See there? So I know which it is. Now, let's twist some wire and hammer it. Here we go. Made some twisted wire. So what I did to make this is that I cut 60 centimeters of 20 gauge, folded it in half, put it on the drill like you see, and then hammered it until I got it back twice through until I got this nice pattern where I got the holes coming through on it as well. So if you want to know a bit more about twisted wire, I have a whole video on it. Links in the corner there. And if you just want to know how to do this grip, where I do go into a little bit more depth about the twisted wire, again, follow that link there. But anyhow, like I said, this was 60 centimeters of 20 gauge, folded in half, twisted, and then hammered. Right, same again. For this, I'm going to be using 20 gauge. I'm going to cut 30 centimeters, and I'm going to cut 4 lengths. Remember, nylon jaw pliers, straighten your wire out. Once you've cut your wires, mark the centre of all of them, including your twisted wire. And again, cutting thin strips of masking tape, stick all your wires together with the twisted wire in the centre. Make sure when you're doing this that you're lining up your centre marks. I always find it a little easier just to place one masking tape just off centre, your centre mark. Makes life really easy. And then once you've got it on, you can run your fingers down the wires and help straighten them up together. Careful your hammered twisted wire doesn't twist while you're doing this, because it's going to have a life of its own. Again, once you're done and your masking tape's holding everything together, lining your centre mark up with the centre mark on your little blue print. Get your marker pen and mark where you want your wraps are and place all your wraps in. Exactly the same as I did in the last, showed you in the last one, 5 times round, making sure all your cuts are to the inside. Again, pretty much bang on the centre mark there, which is really cool. There we go, wrap's all done. Now I'm just going to make sure everything lines up on my little blueprint here. It's the outside a little bit too far. There you go, pretty happy with that. Good, all lined up. Take my flat nose pliers. And again, at the ends, just before the wrap, I'm going to turn them up, both sides. Okay, remembering that's the inside. I'm going to grab my bead mat. Okay, before I wrap around the outside of the stone, remember rightly, I wanted my wraps either side of the point, so that's where I'm going to start from. Now I'm going to place that angle in there, which makes my life so easy. Flat nose pliers. There we go. Perfect. Now I'm going to need to put that angle there, so I'm just going to mark where it is so I can be more precise. Again, just using my flat nose pliers for the job. Very pleased with that, and then I'm just going to use them, bring them around to the top. There we go. When I get to the top, try and pinch them together, tightens it up. Sorry, my hands are in the way there. There we go. Pretty, oh, look at that. Lovely. Shake, 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 shake. It's not coming out at all. Take your stone out. And again, with that random piece of wire that you might have lying around. I do it. Just have that wire. Just tie the neck together as your dummy wrap. Just to hold everything together again. There we go. Pop your stone back in. Now, well, you might need to wrap your dummy wrap out of the way. Now, spend that minute or so just making sure your wraps are where you want them to be and everything's looking good. Even getting your flat nose pliers in, especially on a deep-sided stone like this in this grip, you might just want to take the shape a little bit better. Right, pretty pleased with all my wraps. They're all in the right place where I want them to be. So again, I'm going to start with from the back. And I'm going to choose a point to pull the wire in. So I'm going to come in from the top bit here. Again, grabbing that back wire, that last back wire, just turning it in. Like so. That looks pretty cool right there. I like that. I'm going to come in from this side here. It's about making a pattern more than it. Where you come in, it doesn't matter so much, as long as you're gripping the stone. Like so. Well, that looks quite cool. I like that. That looks pretty cool. So I'm going to, again, bring it in down the side here. This one's a bit longer. Oh, well, that's nice. Cool. Let's pop the stone in and consider the front. Again, you might need to wrap, if you've done your dummy wrap out of the way. I'm just going to tweak the back. I'm a bit worried about this corner here. Looks like it could easily come out. So I'm just going to grab that back wire. I'm going to bring it in. Just slightly turn it. There we go. like so. That's quite cool. I like that. That's going to hold it in. Let's go to the front. Do you know what that's looking? It's not going to come out. Now I would be tempted to, but it could easily pop out because nothing's going over the shoulder. Whenever you're gripping, you remember you're just coming over that shoulder of the stone, just there. As long as you come over that shoulder, it will hold itself into place. And how bezeling works then, it just comes over the shoulder. So where to pull the wire in on this one? So we look at the front. Can we back? We can mirror the back. I actually want it to be a little bit more minimal on here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull in on that corner. That was my original idea. There we go. Actually made it into a bit of a prong. Comes in handy that it actually is quite even. My flat nose pliers. That's holding quite nicely. Now, I just need to get a grip down this side now. That's holding that edge in. Don't think I need to put anything in down the bottom there, but I could even put a point in down there. That would look kind of cool. But we need to grip this edge. So I think I'm going to pull the wire in from the top end here. So you've got a nice line that runs down the side. That's not too bad. Do you know what? I think I might even put it in here because it just kind of mirrors these angles, the pattern here. Got to be complementary to the stone. I'll have to hold it into place a little bit. There we go. How is that? Let's push it back a little bit. Just hit it so it doesn't. There we go. So it doesn't cover the stones. Kind of frames it. That's nice. I'm happy with that. That's not going to go anywhere. That one's really held it in tight. That. And then that down the side there. Pretty good. Give it a shake. Nothing's coming out. I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm just going to spend that extra minute now just tweaking. There you go, pretty pleased with that. Let's go. Sorry, that's a better focus there for you. Right then. Tie the neck. So again, grabbing some wrapping wire. Move your dummy wrap out of the way. Get your flat nose. Pinch that neck together. Because like I said, as you've been dragging that wire over the stone, you've probably pulled the wire down from the top here and you've misshapen it. So again, spending that extra few seconds on just making sure it's looking really good and nice and tight. So I've just slipped and dummy wrap out of the way again. Again, taking my wrapping wire, leaving a bit of a tail, going to wrap down towards the stone 3 times. Exactly the same as I did in the last one. And the other 2 videos as well. This never changes. I'm just going to pick them down. The reason I hold them tight is it pulls the wraps tight down here. So when I get to make the T-bar in a minute, I'm as tight to the wraps as I possibly can. So that's why I have a little bit of tension pulling them down. Take your dummy wrap off. Part the wires. Again, this is why we leave the masking tape on to the last minute because it helps. Flat nose pliers in and create your T-bar, being as tight as you possibly can to your wraps on your neck. Perfect. Right. Let's tie the neck wires off. Now, luckily, I do believe everything's gone as I planned, and I've got a gap at the top there. We can see down the middle now. Let me get my tweezers. I now have a gap down here that I can... Oh, there we go. Sorry, focus. Now I have a gap down here. I can place my wire through. So, again, I'm going to start with the top one. I'm just going to wrap around once, maybe again, depending how far I need to go just to get to the top. I'm going to finish at the front. No reason, I just like to. I'm going to take the wire itself, a bit of a curve in it, and I'm going to post it down through. There we go. See, I've gone down through the top there, wrap around the wrap and come out the front. Pull tight. Sorry, that was not in focus there. Pull tight. And I'm going to wrap round again, if I can. Yes, I can. And I'm going to leave a nice little tidy wrap right there on the centre of the neck wire that you probably won't see, probably will get covered up, but might as well make the effort and make it look good. Then just trimming the wire off, like so. Get your chain, get your tweezers in, tuck it in. Can't feel no ends. Let's go to the back one, which is the base one. Again, if you need to wrap round again, wrap round again. But again, slightly different this time. Instead of coming from the top, I'm going to trim it off. Let's see my wire. Oops, daisy. So instead of coming from the top, come from the bottom upwards. A little bit trickier sometimes. There we go. See? Coming from the bottom upwards. Exactly the same thing. And we're going to pull in tight, making sure none of our wraps overlap. And I'm going to wrap round again. Now, if you can't wrap round again, just trim it off in there. You'd be fine to just trim it off in there. But if you can go round again. There we go. Perfect. There we go. And then, like I say, trim off as tight as you possibly can into that. Tweezers. Go. There we go. Gripping an odd shaped stone with the twisted wire around the outside. Nice one. Excellent. Brilliant. There you go, everybody. That's how I would approach gripping a random shaped stone in the traditional way. Now, is that what it's called? Traditional grip? I don't know. Egyptian grip? I've heard it called a few things, but I'm going to refer to it as the traditional way. That's the best way to do it. So yeah, that's how I would approach it with a random shaped stone. And really it comes down to the masking tape at the start, marking where your wraps want to be on the masking tape, exactly where you want them to be, and always cutting down by the bell where that is. And now it won't come out that way. That last stone I did do on the fly. I was the only stone I got in my box that shape. So I thought, you know what, just do it on the fly on the camera, come up with it and show everybody, yeah, just how you would do it. So yeah, that was all done on the fly. There was no thought about it as well, but it came out well. Quite pleased with it. Got design, a little tweak here and there. I would appreciate if I would get another go at it. But otherwise, generally really happy with it. So please come back next week for part 2, where we're going to be weaving. So we're going to create 3 bells. We're going to do a beginner's, intermediate, and a slightly expert bell. And that will all lead into part 3, where we just use the rest of the wire up with our spirals and stuff like that. Nice one. It's been good fun showing you that one today. And I can't wait to all see you back at the bench next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
To support this channel and help me keep making more videos, please come on over to join my Patreon, where you'll get early access to all my videos, free downloads of my books and tutorials, and entries into my giveaways and more.